Listen carefully, because this is not a random moment, and this message did not come to you by accident. It was delayed for a reason. Heaven did not forget you, and the silence was never empty. Archangel Michael speaks with urgency now, because something has shifted behind the veil, and what was held back is no longer being held back. You may have wondered why certain answers took so long, why some prayers seemed to sit unanswered, why doors remained closed even when you were certain they should have opened by now. But there was movement you could not see. There were battles you could not hear. There were alignments being completed in the unseen realm. And if you stop now, you may miss the very thing you have been waiting for. Stay with this message because there is more happening than you realize, and the timing of this word is part of the revelation itself. Type Amen if you are ready to receive what heaven has been preparing in secret. For many of you, the delay has been the hardest part. Not the pain, not the disappointment, not even the tears, but the waiting. Waiting when you were sure something was supposed to happen sooner. Waiting when others seemed to move ahead. Waiting when the pressure felt like proof that you were being overlooked. But heaven is showing you now that the delay was not denial. It was not abandonment. It was not a forgotten promise. It was protection, preparation, and positioning all at once. Something was being guarded so it would not arrive too early and break under the wrong conditions. Someone was being kept from interfering before the appointed hour, and a blessing that was always meant for you was being held until the full weight of its purpose could be revealed. Do not ignore this part. The message came late because the season itself had to reach maturity. Type 1 believe if you can feel that truth stirring in your spirit right now. There is a hidden layer to your story that only heaven fully understands. When you thought the door had been permanently closed, Michael says it was actually sealed for a reason. When you thought the opportunity passed you by, it was because something greater was being arranged beyond what you could see. There were false pathways that looked promising but would have led you into confusion. There were voices that tried to pull you into haste, but the wisdom of God slowed your steps. You did not lose what was meant for you. You were spared from receiving it in a damaged form. And this is why the delay matters so deeply. What is coming now is not a rushed mercy. It is a prepared answer. It is a blessing that survived the waiting process. Keep reading carefully, because another piece of the puzzle is about to appear, and it will explain why the last season had so much resistance in it. Comment God is working if you know your hidden pain was never hidden from heaven. Michael says some of you were not just waiting for a breakthrough. You were being made ready to carry one. That is why the opposition felt so strange. It was not always dramatic. Sometimes it came through fatigue, distraction, a sudden loss of focus, or an invitation that looked harmless, but would have pulled you out of alignment. You may have noticed how often your attention was attacked at the exact moment you were close to clarity. That was not coincidence. The enemy understood that if you missed the message, you might misread the season. But heaven preserved the delivery. The word did not arrive when your mind wanted it. It arrived when your spirit needed it. And that difference matters, because divine timing is not controlled by human impatience. It is governed by the wisdom of God, who sees the whole road at once. Before this season ends, you will understand why the delay was part of the mercy. Type protected if you believe God kept you from something you could not yet recognize. And now the atmosphere is changing. You are not still standing in the same kind of waiting. Something has begun to move. The gates that seemed silent are responding. The sealed scroll is no longer sealed in the same way. The watchman has not fallen asleep. He has lifted his voice at the appointed hour. That is why this message feels so intense, so immediate, so personal. Heaven is not speaking casually. Heaven is sounding an alarm of grace. There are moments when delay becomes delivery, when what was withheld becomes visible, when what was hidden finally reaches the person it was always meant for. If you have felt strange pressure around your life lately, know that it may be the pressure before release. The final moments of concealment often feel the heaviest because the enemy knows time is almost up. Something is about to break open, and the revelation will not be small. Type 777 if you sense that this shift is bigger than you first imagined. There is also a reason you could not receive this word earlier. Some messages would have only confused you in a prior season. You were still carrying wounds that would have filtered the truth through fear. You were still standing too close to certain losses, too close to certain disappointments, too close to voices that would have twisted the meaning. But now, after what you have endured, you can finally hear with different ears. You can finally see with different eyes. What once would have sounded like a promise now sounds like a lifeline. What once would have seemed too far away now feels near enough to touch. This is why heaven delayed the revelation, not because you were ignored, but because you were being preserved for a cleaner hearing. There is another truth being revealed in this. Some answers only arrive when your heart is stable enough to carry them. Comment still standing if you made it through what was meant to silence you. Before we continue, I feel led to share something with you. Over the years, thousands of people have reached out asking for powerful prayers they could pray during difficult seasons of life. That's why I put together a collection of some of the most powerful faith-building prayers I know. These prayers have helped people find peace during anxiety, strength during hardship, and hope when they felt like giving up. The best part is that I decided to make it completely free. If you would like a copy, simply check the link in the description and I'll send it to you. Do not wait until another difficult season arrives. Take it now while it's available, and keep it close for the days ahead. Now there is something else you need to know. And yes, there were moments when you thought the silence meant nothing was happening. But Michael says the silence was crowded. It was filled with unseen movements, with quiet approvals, with hidden cancellations of assignments against your life. There were conversations you did not hear in earthly rooms, but they were taking place in the background of your destiny. Someone may have been discussing your name when you had no idea. A decision may already have been leaning in your favor while your circumstances still looked unchanged. A path you thought was blocked may have been under review long before you knew to pray for it. Keep listening, because the next revelation changes everything. The most important things in your life have often been decided before they were ever announced. The announcement is arriving now because the decision has already been made. Type yes, Lord, if you are ready for heaven's timing to outrun your fear. You may have wondered why certain relationships fell away. You may have asked why a particular place no longer felt right, why an old plan stopped working, why familiar support suddenly vanished. But not every removal is a loss. Some doors close to keep the wrong hands from touching the right future. Some exits are actually acts of rescue. The delay kept you from entering prematurely into environments that would have drained your faith or distorted your calling. This is not just about what you gained by waiting. It is about what you escaped by waiting. Michael says one of the deepest mercies in your story is this. Heaven blocked what your pain would have called helpful, but your destiny would have called harmful. Do not skip this, because many of you have been grieving something that was actually a safeguard. The blessing was never only in what was coming. It was also in what was stopped. Comment I trust God if you are beginning to see that the closed door was part of your covering. Now the delay begins to make a different kind of sense. Time did not betray you. Time was working for you. The appointed hour was being prepared from the inside out. Like a clock whose hands moved invisibly behind the wall, heaven was counting toward this precise moment while your natural eyes saw only stillness. But suddenly, the stillness is no longer still. You may start noticing unusual confirmations, repeated numbers, unexpected conversations, familiar names returning, or opportunities that feel almost too specific to be coincidence. Do not ignore these details. They are part of the message finally arriving in pieces. The Lord knows how to speak in a way your spirit can recognize even before your mind catches up. Before long, you will realize that what looked like delay was actually a chain of quiet preparations, each one necessary. Type faith, if you are willing to trust the unfolding before you fully understand it. Michael says to pay attention now, because there is a hidden blessing wrapped inside the very thing you once resented. The season that stretched you is the season that strengthened you. The unanswered prayer that disturbed you was training your endurance. The door that refused to open immediately may have forced you to seek a deeper door, one not made by human approval, but by divine commission. There is an irony in the kingdom that many only discover later. What felt like interruption was often invitation. What felt like detour was often guidance. What felt like delay was often the last layer of protection before the promise could be safely delivered. This is why the message feels urgent now. The delay is ending, and with its ending comes responsibility. You will need to recognize what arrives. You will need to move when the signal comes. You will need to stay awake in the hour of fulfillment. Comment ready if you know the season is no longer asking you to wait the same way. There is something else you need to know. The unseen opposition did not only try to block your path, it tried to exhaust your expectation. Because if the enemy could not steal the promise, he wanted to weaken your hunger for it. He wanted you to settle for survival instead of breakthrough. He wanted you to normalize disappointment so deeply that when the answer finally came, you would not believe it. But heaven says no. The message reached you now because your heart is being restored to expectation. Not shallow wishing, but holy anticipation. Not desperate grasping, but steady trust. Before this season ends, your hope will become stronger than your memory of pain. That is part of the preparation too. A future blessing requires a present heart that can receive it. Type 1 receive, if you are ready to let hope rise again. And now the picture becomes clearer. In the heavenly court, things are not random. Records are kept. Seasons are weighed. Assignments are measured by wisdom, not impulse. There were reasons a verdict did not manifest immediately. There were reasons the answer remained concealed. The timing of heaven carries precision you cannot fabricate on earth. It is possible that a prayer you prayed long ago has already been answered in principle, but the manifestation was delayed until all conditions aligned. That is why this message must not be ignored. Some of you are standing at the threshold of an answer that has already passed through hidden channels and is now approaching visibility. You may not recognize the signs at first, but the atmosphere around you is telling the truth. A shift is approaching, and it will make earlier confusion look like a prelude. Type 333 if you know divine order has been silently arranging your steps. Many people watching this message have been carrying burdens they never talk about. If that sounds like you, I want to give you something special. I created a free prayer guide filled with powerful prayers for protection, breakthrough, peace, healing, and strength. Thousands of believers have already downloaded it and shared how much it encouraged them during difficult moments. There is absolutely no cost. I simply wanted to place this resource into the hands of people who need it most. If you feel led, go to the description and claim your free copy before continuing. One prayer prayed at the right moment can change more than you realize. Now listen carefully, because the next part of this message is important. The waiting season was not empty. It was full of shaping, full of pruning, full of unseen reinforcement. You may have felt alone, but you were being watched over by more than you knew. There were angelic protections around your name, around your house, around the road ahead of you. The enemy may have pressed, but he could not cross what God marked as untouchable. This is one of the reasons the message came delayed, because revelation without protection can be dangerous when delivered too soon. Heaven waited until your spirit was more mature, more discerning, more anchored. And now the word can come with power rather than confusion. Listen closely, because what was once fragile is becoming strong. What was once uncertain is becoming visible. What was once held back is entering the world of action. Comment bled if you can already sense the atmosphere changing around you. There are even now signs that something has already been set in motion. A conversation may soon happen that changes your direction. A message may arrive that confirms what you could only pray about before. A person you thought had forgotten you may suddenly reappear at the exact moment you need a key piece of information. Do not dismiss any of this as ordinary. Heaven loves to hide precision inside ordinary moments. That is why discernment matters now. Do not rush past the details. A door may open quietly before it opens publicly. An opportunity may begin as a small invitation before becoming a major transition. The message was delayed so you would be able to recognize the difference between noise and signal. The next revelation is not about confusion. It is about clarity arriving after a long night. Keep watching, keep listening, keep your spirit steady. Comment, "My time is coming," if you believe the delay is finally turning into revelation. Michael says the reason you needed this message immediately is because the window is open now. Not forever, not endlessly, but now. There are moments in life when heaven shifts from preparing to presenting, and that moment is often quieter than people expect. The clock strikes, yet the earth barely notices. A gate opens, yet only those who are watching can enter. That is why this word must find you awake. You have not suffered this long to miss the turning point at the edge of your breakthrough. The delay had a boundary, and the boundary is ending. What comes next is not just comfort. It is confirmation. It is vindication. It is the kind of answer that makes you look back and say, "Now I understand why it took so long." Type Amen if you are ready for the kind of timing only God could orchestrate. Some of you have been asking whether the pain meant you were abandoned. Heaven says no. Others have wondered whether the long silence meant their prayer missed its mark. Heaven says no. Others still have feared that the best part of their story already passed them by. Heaven says absolutely not. Your story is not being closed. It is being clarified. The delay was a hidden corridor leading to a more exact entrance. The postponed moment was not wasted time. It was sacred preparation. And the reason you feel such intensity now is because your spirit knows the truth before your mind has fully translated it. Something important is approaching, and the closer it comes, the more the old confusion loses its power. Do not leave now. You are too close to the center of the message. Type 1, believe if you can feel heaven steady in your heart. There is also a personal word hidden inside this larger one. You have not been forgotten in the places that mattered most. The Lord saw the nights when you questioned everything. He saw the mornings when you rose tired, but still tried again. He saw the moments when you kept faith alive with trembling hands. And because he saw, he prepared. Because he knew, he aligned. Because he loved, he delayed the release until it would not crush you but strengthen you. That is the tenderness inside the mystery. Not everything delayed is punishment. Some things are delayed because love is refining the delivery. Before this season ends, you will witness evidence that heaven was more involved than you realized. The answer may come through an open door, a restored connection, an unexpected favor, or a sudden clarity that lifts a burden from your chest. Comment, God is working if you are ready to see mercy in motion. Now the atmosphere begins to feel like dawn. Not full daylight yet, but the first unmistakable break in the night. This is the hour when watchmen stop wondering whether morning will come and begin announcing that it already has. That is the role of this message, to announce that the delayed word has arrived and with it the season around your life is changing. There may still be a few shadows to pass through, but they no longer carry the same authority. The gates are opening. The scroll is unsealed. The appointed hour has come, and what you thought would never happen may begin unfolding in a way that only heaven could arrange. Keep your eyes open in the coming days. Pay attention to what shifts quietly first, because quiet shifts often precede visible miracles. Comment ready if you are standing at the edge of what God has been preparing all along. Archangel Michael says the sword was never absent. It was stationed over your life while you waited. Protection was active when you felt vulnerable. Guidance was active when you felt lost. Mercy was active when you felt delayed. And now that the message has reached you, you are being invited to step into a new understanding. Your timing has been guarded by God. The season was never late in heaven, only hidden from your natural view until the moment you could receive it. So do not let frustration rewrite the meaning of your journey. Do not let old disappointment name your future. The delay has delivered you to this hour, and this hour is important. Something is unlocking, and the first sign may be subtle, but the impact will not be. Type protected if you know God kept what was His and kept you while He did it. So stay a little longer in this moment, because the final truth is this. The message was delayed so it could arrive with authority, not as a whisper of possibility, but as a confirmation of alignment. Not as a maybe, but as a marker that your season has turned. Heaven wanted you to hear it now because now you are in position to act, to believe, to recognize, to receive. The past was not wasted. The closed doors were not meaningless. The unseen battles were not random. They were all pointing here to this appointed hour when the words would finally land in your spirit and say what you needed most. It is time. And when the next confirmation comes, you will know it is not a coincidence. It is the continuation of this revelation. The delay has ended. The gate is moving. The answer is closer than you think. Comment I receive if you are ready for what heaven has been holding for this very moment. Before you leave, remember that my free prayer collection is waiting for you in the description below. Thousands of people have already downloaded it and used these prayers during seasons of anxiety, uncertainty, spiritual battles, and breakthrough. I made it completely free because I want every believer to have access to powerful prayers when they need them most. If this message encouraged you today, make sure you claim your free copy before you go. And if this message spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and leave your prayer request in the comments, so this community can stand with you in faith. May God bless you, strengthen you, and guide every step ahead.